Okay, now we're ready. All right, guys, so number one, it's already factored for you, right? So what do you think the 2 points on your number line are going to be? -1 and 6, yes. Okay. I'm glad you love that. All right, guys. If you look at your factors, I'm going to give you a little shortcut that you didn't know before. Do you see how these do not have multiplicity? Like they're just the first degree. That means your number line is going to alternate. Like it's going to go positive, negative, positive, or negative, positive, negative, okay? It's only if there's a multiplicity of 2 that it's not going to do that. So we only have to test one section, and then we'll know what the others are going to do. So what's the easiest thing to test?
0.
0. That'd be right in the middle, right? So if I plug a 0 in, I'm going to have a negative times a positive, which overall is a negative, right? So that means past 6 will be positive, and on the other side of -1 is also positive. If you don't trust me, you are welcome to test those regions, but I promise that's what you're going to get for your number line. Okay? Then you just have to look, oh yeah.
I kind of forgot. Wait, why is it -1?
Okay, so I picked 0, which is in between -1 and 6, right? So if I put a 0 in this parentheses, 0 minus 6, that's -6, right?
Yeah.
So that's negative. 0 plus 1, that's positive. And negative times a positive is a negative.
Okay.
Okay? These are alternating because there's not multiplicity on any of these. If you were to graph it, it'd just go straight through the x-axis, right?
Okay.
There'd be no bouncing.
Okay.
Okay? If that's the case, the signs on your number line are just going to alternate like that.
Okay.
If you forget that, then just test a 7, test a -2, it's fine.
Okay.
You'll still get the same thing. Okay. Then we just have to look at what this is asking us. It says, when is it greater than 0? Okay, so is that positive stuff or negative stuff? Positive. So that means here and here. What do you think? Are the -1 and the 6 included or not? No. Okay, why? You're correct, but why? Yeah, it doesn't have the or equal to, so those are open circles. So, how do I write my actual answer? Interval notation, how do I write my answer? Start on the left and go to the, okay, -infinity to -1 soft, and then 6 to infinity. Yes? No? Yes? Well, we're not there yet, so let's... Are we okay with number 1? Okay, see, one step at a time here. We will get there. Okay, I crossed out number 2 because we're not doing that one. So let's look at number 3. All right, so I'm going to bring the 10 over first. So if we were going to do a number line, we'd need to factor it, right?
Yeah.
Does it factor? Is there anything that multiplies to give you 10 and adds up to 6? No. 5 and 1 does not multiply to give you 10. It's okay. It's a tricky question, as in it does not factor. I'm being mean to you. So, there's 2 ways you can think about this. You can think about the graph of the parabola. Do you guys understand that on the left side that's just a parabola? X squared, something. So if we think about that, is that a parabola that's going up, or is it a parabola that's going down? Up. And do you guys notice how everything is positive in it? Okay? That tells me that the vertex has been shifted up, right? You could actually do the work and find vertex form if you wanted to. Some of you may remember that from Algebra 2. But this graph, I'm not saying this is where the vertex is absolutely, but would you agree it's like somewhere up there? Like, does that make sense to you? So think about that graph. When is it greater than 0? Meaning, when is it above the x-axis? Always. So, -infinity to infinity. if you didn't recognize that, you certainly could have solved for x by completing the square or quadratic formula, and you would have gotten imaginary numbers as your solution, which means it doesn't cross the x-axis. And so you'd still need to know that it's an up parabola, and then you just have to understand what the question's asking. So if it had said, when is it less than 0, you would have told me no solution.
So you said everything's positive, so that's why it's going up. It's like it was like x squared minus 6x. Would you then like have to?
You'd have to do a little bit of work there, yeah, to see what's happening. Yep. All right, so 3 is kind of a unique one, but does that make sense to you? You got to just think a little bit. I know. The week before spring break, I'm asking you to think, but I think you can do it. All right, let's do number 4 together. Now, guys, your first instinct is probably to multiply by x plus 4. Please do not do that. Okay? If it was just an equation you were solving, absolutely. But because it's an inequality, you cannot get rid of your fractions. So what we have to do is bring the 3 over. So I have x minus 3 over x plus 4 minus 3 is greater than 0. That 3 is over 1, right? If I'm actually going to combine my two fractions, what do I need? Common denominator. So I need to take this times x plus 4 over x plus 4. Everybody okay with that? You're very quiet. Are you still with me? Okay, just making sure. Now guys, on this, just be careful with your negative. So I know my denominator is x plus 4. In the numerator, I have x minus 3, and then I have minus 3x minus 12. Do you guys understand why it's minus 12? You see that negative 3 has to be multiplied to both. And it's still greater than 0. Okay. So I'll simplify my numerator. So x minus 3x, that's negative 2x. And then minus 15 over x plus 4. We okay there? All right. From here, now that you've got one fraction and it's been simplified, you can pick the numbers for your number line. So before we would just look at our factors, now we have to look at our numerator and denominator. Anything that would make our numerator 0, anything that would make our denominator 0. Those are points we need to consider on our number line. So I'm going to go over here. So I'm going to have 2 points on my number line. What do you think they're going to be? Negative 4, that's the easy one. And then what do we get from our numerator? Positive or negative? Negative, right? Because think, if you actually did negative 2x minus 15 equals 0, right? You guys see that? Okay. So on my number line, remember you have to put them in order. So the negative 15 over 2, that's negative 7.5, right? That's going to come first. And then negative 4. Okay. I'm going to start by plugging in 0. That would be on the right side. So if I put the 0 into this numerator, negative 2 times 0 minus 15, do I get a positive or a negative answer? Negative. And then my denominator, if I plug a 0 in, do I get a positive or a negative? Positive. Okay, I've got a fraction here. A negative over a positive. What is that overall? Negative. Do you think they're going to alternate? Yeah, we'll plug in one more just so you can see it. So what do you want to plug in between negative 4 and negative 7.5? Negative 5. Okay, so think in your numerator. What's negative 2 times negative 5? 10, right? Positive 10. Okay. Minus 15. Okay, so we've got a negative for the numerator. And then if I plug in negative 5 in the denominator, what do I get? Negative. Negative over negative is positive. And so then again, your next section, you guys see it's going to end up being negative. Okay. It says greater than 0. So what do you think? What's my answer? Yeah, in between here, right? That's the positive part. Am I including the negative 7.5 and the negative 4? No. Even if it had said or equal to, would I include both of them? No, but why? What? Yeah, look at your original fraction. What could x not equal right from the start? Negative 4. So that's never going to be included no matter what the sign tells you. But this one just said greater than 0, so that means my final answer is just negative 7.5 to negative 4. Okay? Are we okay there? All right, guys, let's do number 5. I'm making it a little simpler than what is written on your paper. Go ahead and scribble out what I scribbled out. You don't just get to scribble stuff out on your test, sorry. Do you guys want to try it? Yeah? No? Yeah? No, doing the problem. I think you can scribble it out. Go ahead and try it. Remember, bring the 6 over first, common denominator, see where you get with your number line. Okay, I'll give you a second. I promise I won't leave you stranded. So like here, you picked the positive numbers, right? That's equal to greater than 0. Positive numbers are greater than 0.
No, it's plus negative. Negative 6. Bring the negative. I don't know. What do you I bet you want to but I don't want to what? What is this?
know how you really can do there was. It's like it's sort of thing in there.
It would be you guys any thoughts on that?
It's negative 6. Alright guys, let's look and see how you did. Alright guys, everybody's okay with bringing the 6 over, right? And then when you find your common denominator,
I don't know. I don't think it's outside numbers, but I don't think so. Wait, is it the negative ones or is it still the positive ones?
well, what does the inequality actually say in the problem?
Less than 6.
No, look at your first step, less than or equal to 0, right after you move the 6.
Oh.
You always want to look at the one that has the 0 in it.
Oh, okay, so 0. Less than or equal to 0.
So that'd be negative numbers, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you want the negative part.
Oh.
Alright guys, so on your number line, you should have had, what, 4 and 3? Is that what you guys had? Yes, 4 and 3 on your number line. Okay. So I'll plug in 0. I'm going to get positive over negative, positive, negative. Alright guys, it says less than or equal to 0. So I know I want the negative parts. Alright guys, it says or equal to 0. Am I including both the 3 and the 4? Only the 4, yes. Oh my god. I can't include the 3 because that'd make the denominator 0. So negative infinity to 3 with a soft bracket, and then hard bracket 4 to infinity. That is your answer. How do we do? Yes? Making sense? Not too bad? Well, let's do number 6. This is just a throwback question for you using kind of, yes? I know it's not Thursday. We can still do it, okay? All right. When you're finding domain, yeah, throwback Tuesday. You set what is under the radical greater than or equal to 0, right? Okay? So now it is a problem just like we had. Okay? You need to factor it. So what does it factor into? X what? No, not x plus 5 and x plus 1. What?
3 and 2.
Yep. Yay! You know, baby steps. Alright guys, so on my number line is negative 3 and negative 2, right?
Yes.
What do you want to test? I would test 0, right? Isn't 0 the easiest?
Yes.
You could test negative 2.5 if you really like it, but okay. And then no multiplicity going on, right? So it's going to alternate. All right, greater than or equal to 0. That's the positive stuff. And what do you think? Are we including the 2 and the, sorry, negative 2 and negative 3? Yes, do include them this time. So your answer is negative infinity to negative 3, negative 2 to infinity. Okay? All right. Homework 7.5. You are skipping 6, 9, and 10.